Okay, so this is how you register a new sim. You click on new registration. My storage is already low, so they'll give me this warning, but I'll just click on OK. If your storage is completely low, they might stop you from identifying, and you need to delete some things like some old files, some old videos, like to free up some space before you can identify a sim. This is with the new app, the new MTN mpos app. So for this MSISDN, on the SIM card, you take the SIM card, there's this place that you need to scratch that says tell. You scratch that and then you reveal the telephone number of that SIM card. That's what you write here as the MSISDN. So I'll just fill in this one quickly, and then the kit number. If you turn the card behind, you see a number at the top. There's the pin, there's a PUK, and then there's a CMR. The CMR is what is referred to as the kit number, and you just have to copy that same number in this space here. After you've written this, you skip email. Like the phone's email, it's not obligatory, so you skip this and you click on validate. As you can see, the menu expands and you just scroll down. The menu has expanded. The subscriber type, it needs to be set to individual. The subscriber nationality, if it's a Cameroonian, you leave it on Cameroonian. If it's a foreigner, you just switch to foreigner. You click on this Cameroonian and then you see the options. Foreigner, you can click on the foreigner. For the foreigner, the types of IDs will differ. It will be a resident permit, a passport, or a refugee ID. But in this case, I'm showing you how to register a SIM for a Cameroonian. The process is pretty much the same for refugee ID or a passport. It's just they'll ask you for the refugee ID number and a picture of the refugee ID. But in the case of a passport of a Cameroonian citizen, they'll ask you for the Cameroonian ID. So I'll just switch back to a Cameroonian, and then for the ID type. Now it depends on the ID that the customer in front of you has. If it's a local national ID, the computerized ID card version, that's the old ID card, the one that they no longer produce, but I see some people who have it and it's still up to date. Because the first thing you need to know when a customer presents themselves before you, you need to reassure yourself that the customer's ID is completely legible, that you can see all the important information: their name, their last name, their date of birth, their ID number, their father's name, their mother's name. All this information needs to be visible on the ID card. If you cannot read that information on that ID, if it's not visible to you, it's not legible to you, then don't bother with that identification. Better tell the customer to look for someone with a clear identification, a valid identification that is up to date. It has not expired, and the person's ID, that person has to be at least 18 years old. If it's not 18 years old, you cannot identify with that ID. For minors, you can identify with their birth certificate, but it has to be accompanied with the ID of an adult. But in this case, I'm just going to be showing you the simpler model, which is just to use an actual ID. If it's the old national ID, the one that some people still have that is still valid, you choose this option 1, the computerized ID card. If it's the biometric ID, these newer IDs, the ones that came before these 48 hours IDs, the ones that have that place that is like a SIM card setting, you select the biometric ID, the new ID card version. If it's a birth certificate, that's for minors. Like I said, for this option, if you already understand how to identify the other options, you understand this is just there'll be an additional step which will be easier to follow. But for now, I'll focus on using an actual ID. If it's a temporary ID, which is a receipt or an ID receipt, you select the temporary ID at the bottom. In this case, I'll choose the biometric ID, and then we will proceed. Okay, now they'll ask you for a photo of the ID. Now I'm not going to film any ID, I'm just going to take a random picture just to fill up the space and proceed to the next level. So I'll just snap this. Oh, my flash is on. Okay, for the back of the ID is the same thing. You snap the ID, making sure that all the information on it is legible. Of course, for this case, I'm just taking a random picture just to fill up the information and proceed to the next level. When you snap, you have to make sure that all the information is clear. you can clearly read that information that is being displayed on the ID. If you doubt if the information you snapped was clear or not, you can just touch on the photo and then zoom in or zoom out. Just make sure you can actually read what is on the ID before proceeding, because once you proceed, you will not be able to come back to this step. And if you fill all this information and the ID is not clear, you know at the end it's going to be rejected. So for the first name, you write the first name exactly as it is on the ID. If there's no first name stated on the ID, you write in capital letters N space A. But if there's a name, let's just say John, like you write it exactly as it is on the ID. The first name that is on the ID, the last name that's on the ID. On the ID might be written surname, which is the last name. So that's what you're writing here, exactly as it is on the ID. There are some people whose names, the people making the ID wrote all their names entirely on one line, so they don't have anything like a first name. So it's just one line of last name. All their names are written on that line, or all their names are written on the line of the first name. So you write all exactly as it is on the ID, and you write in capital letters. For the mother's name, is the same. If the name is written on the ID, you write it exactly the way it's written on the ID, or you just write NR if it is not present on the ID. And you select the gender as it is on the ID. You make sure it's the same thing. Even if it's, you'd feel like someone was misgendered, it was an error, you write what you see on the ID. You select here. If it's a male, you select male. If it's a female, you select female. For the birth date, you tap on this calendar at the side here. You tap on this, and you can tap on the year here. Just tap on this year, and then you scroll until you find the exact year of birth of the customer. You select on that, then you can tap on January here. Pardon. Or you can tap on these arrows at the side here, or you just swipe. Either you swipe or you tap on these arrows at the top here. You swipe or tap on the arrows, and then you, once you reach on the particular month you're looking for, this is September. As you can see, it's September. Just on September, you choose the exact date, whether it's the 10th. You select on that, and then you click on OK. You make sure that's the exact date that is on the ID. For the residential region, that's where the customer lives. So you're filling this information based on what the customer provided is providing to you. Ask, where is the customer living? You're here in Douala, but the customer will not necessarily be using that SIM here in Douala. Maybe the customer is just around for the while and is about to travel. So you select residential region, you just click on it, and then you see the list of regions there. If the person is here in Douala, you click on Littoral. Residential town, if it's here in Douala, you click on Douala. And then for the neighborhood, that's the general locality where the customer is going to stay. If the customer says something like Petrolex or Bukom, you don't necessarily need to give the specific location, but you need to select one of the locations inside the system. If you just write some random thing, you cannot actually select this. You are obliged to select something from the system. So if you are too precise, you will not be able to get past this stage. So you just say something. If the customer says the customer specifies some specific area in Bonandale, you just write maybe like Bonandale, and then you look through the options that will appear. As you can see, even the Bonandale, if I don't spell it correctly, not all the options are appearing, but the options for Bonandale that are appearing here: Bonandale Centre de Santé, Ndabo Centre État Civil, Ndabo Bonandale. You select from one of these options that is closest to where the customer lives. You just select on that, and then you proceed. For the ID number, since we selected the biometric ID, there are two ID numbers. There's a long one of 17 digits, which starts with the year the ID was made. It's usually 2017 or 2018, 2019, and then there's a stream of numbers that follow. That is what is considered as the ID number, the long 17-digit number behind the new biometric IDs. That's what you write here. So I'm just writing some random numbers here just to fill up the space, because if I don't write something here, I'll not be able to proceed to the next stage. As you can see, once I reach 17 digits, I cannot write anymore. The expiring date, it has to be exactly the same expiring date that is on the ID, and it has to be in the future, because you cannot identify with an expired ID. For example, if I choose this 10th year, when I finish all this, you see that I will not be able to validate because it's in the past, meaning the ID has expired. But that does not mean you can just create an expiring date and just write it just because you want to validate and proceed to the next level. No, you need to write the exact ID date that is on the ID. Anything you write here that is different from what is on the ID will cause the identification to be rejected, and you don't want that. You just have wasted your time for nothing. So you write the expiry date exactly as it is on the ID. For the short ID, there's a short 9-digit number under. After you see the long ID number of 17 digits, there's the small picture, transparent picture of the person behind your ID, right? And then there's 9 digits at the bottom. That's what is considered the short ID. That you write here, I'll just fill in random numbers, 9 digits. Once you reach 9 digits, you see that you can't write anymore. Once you write that, and then you click on validate. If you notice, it's not able to validate. It's telling me future date only because I selected a date that is in the past. So it needs to be an ID that is still up to date. Even if it's just one day, it needs to be up to date. If it's one day left before the ID is expired, it's still valid. But if it's even 10 minutes after midnight on the day it's supposed to expire, then you cannot identify with that ID. So you click on the actual expiring date, and then you click on OK. Then you validate work issues. Okay, so it validates, and then the menu expands at the bottom. You just keep scrolling down. For this, you just keep scrolling down. If you notice now, the general conditions to subscribe, blah 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 blah. If you keep scrolling, you will need to keep scrolling to the bottom, and then you just select terms and conditions. I understand and approve the mentioned terms and conditions. Then you click on this little pen at the side here. Then the customer signs. The signature needs to resemble what is on the ID. If it does not resemble what is on the ID, it will not be validated. It does not have to be exact, but it needs to resemble. So once the customer signs, you click on this tick, this green tick here, and then that is saved. This signature, I repeat again, it needs to resemble what is signed on the ID. So you make sure that the customer signs and it does not, you observe, you look, you compare. If it does not resemble even a little bit, you can click on this X here to wipe, and then click on the pen again. The customer tries to sign again. It needs to resemble. Boom. After that, you click on the image, customer photo. Yeah, this is very important, and you need to make sure the customer's face is clearly visible, because if the customer's face is not visible, you cannot pass the stage. If I just, let's say I just snap this, you will notice when you click on validate face match, it says invalid face detection because there is no face being shown here. Then okay, now I'll just flip the camera front, try to take a picture of myself so I can get past this stage. Okay, validate face match. As you can see, it went through. Boom. You select the preferred language, either French or English. In this case, let's just leave it in English. If the customer wants the SIM to be in French, you select French. If they want it to be in English, you select English. For optional information, you leave it at no. If you select yes, you'll be asked marital status, work status, hobbies, and all this information, which is not obligatory. It's just optional, which is just going to waste your time and the customer's time. So you select no and just click on process transaction. It will load for a quick second, and then you need to click on yes, and that's it. Your identification will be sent. Now, since I don't want to process, I'll cancel this transaction. Yes, and then if you clicked on yes to process the transaction, you'll be brought back to this page, and then you will need to click on this three-dot menu here, these three lines, and then you click on registration history. You click on this little arrow beside today, and then you see the number that you just from identifying and the name. You can either click on the name, the number, or the name, and you just click and hold, like press for a few seconds. like less than 2 seconds, and then you see view details. Click on view details, and then it displays all this information about the sim you just from registering. Now normally it will show you the states will be pending, or encoded demand, processing, something like that. And then at the bottom here, state information. It will either show you waiting to send or transaction is being processed. If your transaction is being processed, you wait for a few minutes and then it will go through successfully, after which you need to put the sim in the phone. But if it's taking too long here and the transaction is still being processed, because if you notice, it will be at 15 attempts. But if you go back and then you refresh, like if you're just from identifying the sims, it will be normally at 0, and then as the time goes on, it will keep on attempting and attempting until it succeeds or it gets rejected and fails. So the attempts will start at 0 and then slowly go up and slowly go up. So once this transaction, the state information here shows you transaction is being processed, you wait for a few minutes and then you put the sim in a phone, and then you dial *126#. They'll ask you to choose a mobile money pin. You give the to the customer will select their mobile money pin. You don't select the mobile money pin for the customer, you give the customer and the customer selects their mobile money pin, *126#. Then they'll ask for a mobile money pin. The customer selects their mobile money pin, clicks on send. They'll ask the customer to repeat that same mobile money pin. It should be a 5-digit pin, not 000 or 12345 or anything simple to guess. It has to be something slightly complex. The customer can choose to put their date of birth and add an addition, the year of birth, and add an additional digit there to make it 5, or just any number that the customer knows they will not forget, 5-digit number. They use that as your mobile money pin. Once you've activated the mobile money account, the next thing to do would be to do bidirectional calls. By bi-directional, to activate calls for all networks. There's an orange number that we usually use to do this activation. You call that orange number, and then the orange number will pick for 15 seconds, and then you let the call go on for 15 seconds, and then you cut the call, and then the orange number will call you back. You pick the call and let it go for 15 seconds, and then you cut the call, and that's it. This adds your commissions. There's an extra 50 francs in your commissions for this activation, of course, for all networks. Or if you do more than 100 identification, 100 sim sales and bidirectional done for a month, you get 100 francs per bidirectional instead of 50 francs. And there are some other bonuses the more you do. In case these service numbers don't pick because they're not available, like at night and during the weekend, things like that, sometimes it's better if you have your own orange number or a Camtel number, any other network number. There's any number that is not an MTN number, orange or Camtel, you can call that number if you have one that you own, in case you're unable to reach that service number. But that service number is usually available during the week, during working hours, but outside of working hours it might not be. Or if you try to reach that number and are unable to, you can call any other orange number that is available to you. You call the number or campaign number, you call the number, and then the number picks for 15 seconds, then that same number calls back on the sim that you just registered, and then you pick and let it go for 15 seconds and cut the call. After activating a mobile money account and doing this bidirectional, you now do a deposit of at least 250 francs into that mobile money account. But 500 francs is better because you get your full commissions if you do deposit of 500 francs, pardon. So you do that bidirectional of 500, you do that deposit of 500 francs inside the mobile money account, or 250 francs inside the mobile money account, and then you dial *126, go to option 3, and then option 1, and then option 1 again, and purchase credit for the 500 francs for that same customer's sim, or to your own sim if you prefer. But if the customer is paying for their first deposit, you will need to put that credit for them. You can dial some proportional codes and convert it for them for an additional customer service you're doing for your customer. So after you deposit and purchase credit, then you're done with your identification. That is all that you need to do.